The question of whether Western Cape Judge President John Hlophe will face impeachment has haunted the country for more than a decade. Only earlier this year did the Judicial Conduct Tribunal recommend Hlophe's impeachment. The Judicial Service Commission yesterday voted to uphold this recommendation. This latest decision could possibly put to an end 13 years of legal wrangling. Now, someone who's been watching the story quite closely is attorney and candidate and coordinator, at Judges Matters. That's Alison Tilley, who joins us now via our video link from Cape Town. Alison, it's great to see you. Thanks very much indeed for making time for us here on the AM report. I mean, it's section 177 of the Constitution that essentially sets out the conditions, if you like, for a judge to essentially be impeached. I just want to take a moment, if I can, to read verbatim a clause of that part of the Constitution and get your sense about whether or not it reveals to us clearly enough what happens next. So it says, a judge may be removed from office only if the JSC finds that the judge suffers from incapacity, is grossly incompetent, or is guilty of gross misconduct. A subsection of that says, if the National Assembly calls for that judge to be removed by a resolution adopted with a supporting vote of at least 2/3 of its members. Now that the recommendation has happened, it all seems the ball is in Parliament's court about what happens next.
Exactly. So what we would be expecting now is to hear from the Speaker. We imagine that the National Assembly is going to convene and would have a vote in relation to this. And as you say, a 2/3 majority, so not an ordinary majority, and that's why this is now perhaps more of a political story than a legal story.
Absolutely. And I wonder if I can take my liberties with you and go there. I mean, you've been following the story for years, and ironically, we've had a lot of political figures weighing in about ways through which they think the story should unfold. Given the current configuration of our parliament, there isn't any single party that actually holds a 2/3 majority. Do you reckon we'll find a resolution soon enough?
So I would not be at all surprised if Judge President Hlophe was not considering appealing this decision. We haven't had the written judgment or decision as yet, so it's too soon to tell. But once we have a look at that, there may be a basis for appeal. And of course, the other thing that may happen sooner rather than later is that the President may suspend the Judge President, in which case he will no longer act as the Judge President in the Western Cape High Court. Again, a suspension that he might challenge. So certainly what we've seen from Judge President Hlophe is an absolutely relentless defense of his position, and he really has taken every opportunity to challenge the process.
And I guess that's why it's taken us 13 years to even get here. Help us understand what challenging this process might actually look like for the process itself. Would the process have to stop until the appeal is finalized?
Well, certainly in relation to an ordinary decision, if you appeal the decision, so say, for example, he appeals the suspension, it could be so that a court would say, well, we're not going to carry on with the appeal until unless the suspension stays in place. So there is a provision for making the order stand, but it could drag out the length of time that it takes to resolve the matter. Yeah.
Hlophe, in some respects, being criticized for many things, but one of them being for acquitting ANC MP Bongani Bongo on corruption charges. If he is eventually suspended or ultimately impeached, to what extent can those matters be resurrected, especially considering that some people might believe he was operating whilst compromised, for lack of a better term?
No, I think there would have to be considerable new evidence of fraud or corruption in order for those cases to come back to court. Those matters have been disposed of, and unless somebody could show that there was a direct link between some kind of improper influence and the decision of the court, those decisions will stand.
Alison Tilley, thanks very much indeed for weighing in on this important development. Really do appreciate your time and insights. Alison is an attorney as well as the coordinator of Judges Matters. Once again, thanks very much indeed.